I could weep for what has happened to the human race. There are too many pathetic, terrified individuals around with their heads buried deep in the sand. Our governments have lied, deceived, bullied, cheated, threatened and oppressed. Governments everywhere seem to have forgotten the words of John Locke, who said, "The people cannot delegate to government the power to do anything which would be unlawful for them to do themselves." We pay our governments to protect us, not to destroy us. There's no doubt that the masks are part of the process of oppression and have made people more scared than they were. It is, of course, deliberate. There are few smiles around these days and not many laughs to be heard. Celebrities are behaving very strangely. Peter Ebdon, the world snooker champion, is the only one I know who's had the courage to question authority and to tell the truth. Hypocrisy is everywhere. The other day I reported that Tom Hanks, an actor, had announced that he wouldn't respect anyone who didn't wear a mask. But then someone called Tom Hanks, together with his wife, turned up standing with the Greek Prime Minister. Not a mask in sight, no social distancing. It seemed at first that Mr. Hanks is that thing at the end of the intestinal tract. The word escapes me. It begins with a letter A and ends in hole. But then I realised that it must be another Tom Hanks. There are probably dozens of them in Hollywood. And people are turning their symbols of slavery into fashion items. The Daily Mail, a British tabloid at the lower end of the tabloid spectrum, ran a picture of the Duchess of Cornwall, who had, they drooled, opted for a bold printed mask decorated with turquoise gold and navy peacock feathers. Can't believe it. Worst of all, there are stories that when schools reopen in September, some children will be forced to wear masks and maintain social distancing. This is beyond obscene. Parents should threaten to sue the headmistress or headmaster responsible for such child abuse. Unless we rise up and rebel, the masks will never go away. The plan is very precisely defined. In the UK, the government has given those who don't want to wear masks a loophole. For example, anyone who has a respiratory disorder or a mental disorder doesn't have to wear a mask. Also, children under 11 don't have to wear masks in the UK. But there's a snag. Very few can get an exemption certificate from their doctor. Astonishingly, GPs have been instructed not to provide exemption certificates for anyone. The absence of officially signed exemption certificates will make it easy to progress to the next stage, when mask wearing will be compulsory for everyone. Now that Cressida Dick, the boss of the Metropolitan Police in London, has cruelly, in my view, told mask wearers to shame those not wearing masks, the pressure on those who are physically or mentally ill will be unbearable. And so most of those people will put on their masks, even if it makes their breathing more difficult or causes them enormous distress. Soon, the masks, symbols of oppression and slavery, will be mandatory for anyone who wants to go into a shop to buy food. And then the next step will be to make them compulsory for people to wear masks in the street or even in their own homes. The cameras on our phones, computers and televisions will identify those who are breaking the law. The collaborators who've been wearing masks on public transport and in shops may grumble, but they'll accept the extension of the law, particularly when it's reinforced, as it will be, with more threats about a second wave and a mutated, more deadly virus. And those who object will be vilified again. So what next? Well, having pushed us into wearing masks all the time, they want to push us a little further as part of our training. And so then we'll have to wear plastic or rubber gloves all the time. And the punishments for not wearing a mask will gradually rise. Within a very short time, the punishment will be imprisonment. Anyone not wearing a mask and gloves will be sent to jail. I'm astonished and rather saddened that so many people around the world have accepted mask wearing without protest, although it's perfectly understandable when the punishments are draconian, as they are in some countries. To me, the real tragedy is that now that they have been softened up by their house arrest and the constant fear-making propaganda, millions actually want the regulations to be tougher. They want more lockdowns and stricter laws about mask wearing. What the devil is wrong with these people? Why are so many not questioning what's happening? Can't they read and think for themselves? The answers, sadly, are clearly no and no. Of course, in some countries there have been effective protests, and mask laws have been withdrawn. In one American state, local sheriffs refused to arrest people who demonstrated against house arrest. But sadly, Britons have become the biggest wimps on the planet. Whatever happened to the British phlegm that got us through World War II? One explanation is that the problem is something called cognitive dissonance. Many people just can't believe that governments could tell so many lies and that politicians could be so deceitful. The zombies and the trolls aren't very bright, and they're unable to see the big picture. They aren't bright enough to see things in perspective. They don't believe that anyone could tell such big lies. The zombies and trolls have never been properly educated. They're content to believe what they're told or what they read on a lavatory wall. They're incapable of thinking for themselves. Actually, they're incapable of thinking at all. The education process devised by the United Nations over the last few decades has been designed to enforce a belief in collectivism. And that's what happened. These are the people who watch or listen to the BBC and believe what they see or hear, or who believe that The Guardian is a newspaper and don't realise it's a propaganda sheet built on money from slave trading and pushing us ever onwards to a new slavery. Brighter folk can see through the lies and they can understand what's happening. Another explanation is that the zombies and the trolls have a sense of entitlement that closes their eyes to the world around them. A toxic mixture of reality television and social media has created life goals that are far removed from reality. It's salutary that many zombies and trolls don't have friends or contacts, they have followers and fans. There's little proper debate on social media for disagreement. If a troll comes across someone with a point of view that differs from their only response is to resort to abuse and a sense of outrage that someone should hold another point of view. I wonder how many trolls know that the personality traits which trigger heart disease and which are just as potent as smoking and fatty food include hostility and extreme self-involvement. There's going to be a veritable epidemic of heart disease in another decade's time, and thousands of zombies and trolls will be demanding instant heart transplants. They won't get them, of course. Transplants will be reserved for the elite. And there may be another reason why there are so many zombies and trolls around. I've been pointing out for 30 years that our drinking water is enriched with female hormones. It's clear that those hormones are now having a dramatic effect on the human race. There's more about this on my video entitled "Is Tap Water Safe to Drink?" The problem started in the 1960s when millions of women started taking the contraceptive pill. The hormone residues from those pills are excreted in their urine. Look what happens then. First, after going through the standard purification procedures, wastewater containing the hormone-rich urine is discharged into freshwater rivers. Second, drinking water is often taken from rivers. Third, the water is then purified again, but water purification programs can't remove hormone and drug residues. By the 1990s, it was clear that our drinking water contained female hormones. A report from the UK Environmental Agency concluded that 57% of the roach in one river had changed sex, and it's now also known that human male fertility has fallen in recent years. It's the hormones in the water which explain why so many members of both sexes are constantly confused about their sexuality. Like teenagers struggling with a hormone maelstrom. Massive propaganda, of course, has also played its part. They aren't sure whether they're male or female. Many want to change sex, some then want to change back again. And I think the zombies, the trolls, the mask wearers have all been drinking too much tap water, too many cups of tea perhaps. This explains why male zombies and trolls tend to be effeminate and stupid, and female zombies, trolls and mask wearers tend to be stupid, confused, irritable and sulky. So they are. The small, poorly developed brains of the trolls and zombies have been permanently damaged by watching the BBC, reading The Guardian and drinking tap water. There are millions of zombies and trolls around because they're naive, gullible, poorly educated, unintelligent, immature and self-important, but ultimately terrified of authority because those hormones in the drinking water have turned them into permanent teenagers. The odd thing is, by the way, that although they pour abuse by the tankerful onto people like me, they become extremely upset if they themselves are opposed in any way. The other day I made a video about BBC fact-checkers and mentioned not paying the licence fee, because if you give the BBC money, it's, in my view, akin to supporting a sort of terrorism. I just want to add to that if you live in England and the BBC's Gestapo knock on your door to see if you have a TV set, you don't have to speak to them, open the door or let them in, unless they've obtained a court order and/or have the police with them. You don't have to pay the licence just because you own a television set. Check out the rules. It isn't difficult to not have to give the BBC money. Obviously you shouldn't do it illegally, but it's possible to have a TV set and not pay the BBC licence fee perfectly legally. Finally, I think I can demolish the whole coronavirus nonsense in less than 3 minutes. So get your watches, here goes. First, many doctors, including Dr. Fauci, the American coronavirus supremo, have admitted that the risk of dying with the coronavirus is similar to the risk with the flu. Second, the flu can kill over 600,000 people a year around the world. Even though governments everywhere have admitted fiddling their totals, the COVID-19 death total is still nowhere near a global flu total. Third, here's how they fiddled the figures. In the UK, for example, anyone who tested positive for the coronavirus and subsequently died was officially a COVID-19 death, whatever else they had wrong with them. Fourth, the vast majority of those dying with the coronavirus were over 80 and had many other health problems. The risk for fit young individuals is very small. 5. Research has shown that masks are dangerous, don't prevent the spread of infection, and almost certainly do more harm than good. The virus can go straight through the material of a mask, and mask wearing affects blood oxygen levels. At least 2 people have died through wearing masks. Number 6, many of those promoting the coronavirus horror story are linked in some way to the vaccine industry or the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, which itself has strong financial links to the vaccine industry. For example, the chief scientific advisor in the UK was formerly a senior executive at GSK, one of the big vaccine makers. 7, the British government has admitted that at least 4 times as many people have died as a result of the lockdowns and other control measures as will have died from the coronavirus. The remedy has been much deadlier than the disease. 8, Neil Ferguson, the man whose predictions led to the lockdowns, had produced a number of inaccurate predictions before he made wildly pessimistic predictions about the coronavirus. His track record is appalling. The college where he works has financial links to Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and vaccines. 9. Exactly the same mistakes have been made in almost every country in the world. For example, sick old people were taken out of hospital and dumped in care homes, resulting in tens of thousands of deaths in each country. That couldn't be a coincidence. It had to be a plan. Number 10, the number of people who've caught the coronavirus worldwide is now said to be around 10 million. But the flu can affect 1 billion in a single year. Those are facts which can't be disputed, though they're being suppressed, and that's it in what I hope was less than 3 minutes. This list will be on my website. Copy it, print it out, give it to doubters. I find it difficult to believe that anyone could still want to wear a mask once they were aware of these simple facts. In my view, it would make more sense to carry a lightning rod than to wear a mask. It would help enormously if you would press the thumbs up button and if possible leave a small comment. We haven't monetized this channel and there are no advertisements and no sponsors, nor will there ever be. Clicking the thumbs up button simply helps to keep the video and the channel visible. Thanks for watching An Old Man in a Chair, and thank you for all your support and encouragement. Please copy and share these videos on Facebook, Twitter, BitChute and other platforms. Let's spread the truth. If you'd like to put on a translation, that would be great. If my videos disappear, please go to vernoncoleman.com where you can find transcripts, including transcripts of the banned videos. There are many other articles there too. The website also has no ads and no sponsors. If you'd like to see more videos from me, Please subscribe to my channel because the videos aren't always easy to find. If you visit mainstream media, please put on messages asking readers to watch these videos to find the truth. Although it may feel like it at times, please remember you are not on your own. More and more people are waking up, and together we will win this war. Thank you for watching An Old Man in a Chair.